Hey everybody, it's Thursday.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And we're laughing because everything is crazy tonight. Who knows? I'm just noticing all of my
We're moving.
we're moving. I tried to
It's
clean
gonna
up our
be
background a little
it's
bit,
gonna
but
be
we're,
messy.
we're in transition. So thanks for
Bear
bearing with
with
us. Yeah. So, with that being said,
Put
did
on
we
the
already say
comments.
this part? I'm Josh, and I'm Emily.
Yeah, we said
we
that
did that.
part.
Okay, I'm so thrown off. That's how much. But after that, we usually do start talking about fishing, and that is something that we have been able to get out and do recently.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Last week we were up in Hayward, fishing the Chippewa flowage, and that was quite the adventure. Adventure as far as temperatures, weather, fishing, everything was an adventure, and it was a fun week. It was a challenging week, but overall it was kind of crazy. Our week was an adventure because we went from doing a Saturday to Saturday to doing a Friday to Friday via the resort, and we got home on a Friday, which never happens because usually it's a Saturday night. And so we got to come home, unpack, and do a little bit of fishing on Saturday and Sunday.
So, with that, we usually bring our fishing report kind of from, I guess, the Wolf River region because that's
Hey,
kind of
Ma.
where we're at. And I gotta say, fishing actually was going pretty well. The water was, I guess, warmer than I expected it to be.
Yeah, I mean, we were up to that point. The week prior, or whatever, we had been seeing water temps in the mid 60s, and we get up there and it's mid 70s. So it was crazy.
But actually, there was a lot of fish to be caught, to be honest. But it was amazing because the other thing that's happening in that section of the river there is we saw tons and tons and tons of splashing because actually the bowfins, are they spawning now? Is that what's going on? Or they're just jumping around?
Yeah, so the bowfin spawn has started, and so hence why we saw a lot of the splashing and not so much of the biting. Because once they get into that post spawn, just like any other post spawn, those fish they start eating actively, and then we'll start catching them more with our panfish gear because they're going around chasing minnows and stuff. And some of them are probably in that pattern. And we did catch one. That was probably a nice 12-pounder you got.
Well, they're like neon green.
Yeah, and
it's like really
awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah, but crappies were in their summer spots. Yeah, it was pretty generic. I don't have much to say about the wolf other than just go get a line in it right now because.
Well, and the one thing that was not generic about it actually is if you are familiar with the river, you kind of know where the different logs and down trees and all of that have been. The river does change year to year, especially the ice shakes things up. But one of the things that happened not that long ago, I guess within the last few weeks, is we had some pretty big storms come through. So quite a few new trees that are down into the river, but actually quite a few different logs and stumps and things along the way that have also moved. So I know, especially with the holiday weekend coming up, and there are people who try to traverse the river and they are not used to being out there or haven't yet this year or whatever. But I would say don't just go by what last year was, because even within the last month, it has changed.
Yeah, anytime you're fishing a river, you shouldn't expect it to be the same. But this, just coming up into the holiday weekend, especially with our storms from the 15th, there are some big logs, a lot of deadheads, like switch positions in the river. We tagged one with our prop, so luckily it didn't hit our lower unit. We just tagged it with the propeller, so I got to pound that out before we go fishing. But seriously, there's going to be a lot of partying going on and big boats going up and down the river. And just know that the water's low from at least Shiocton down towards the Fremont area. And just use caution driving your boats around because nobody wants a log through the hull of their boat or leaving the river without a lower unit. That's both of those things. Sad day.
Really bad day. But there are a lot of different ways that people are getting out onto the river this weekend. And, we talk about the big boats and stuff because that's always crazy to navigate. But don't forget I want to say all the little guys out there, but they are out doing some awesome stuff. Seen some people this year already in canoes and kayaks and all kinds of stuff like that. And that is part of what we are going to be here talking about tonight. So let's bring Zach into the show.
Hey, Zach.
How's it going?
Good.
Awesome. So right before the show, we were like having really good connection and really crazy connection. Looks like it's going pretty good for now. And otherwise we're going to wing it. But thanks for being here and working through all that.
Well, thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah.
You're my favorite IGO people.
Oh my goodness. And so I guess for people who maybe haven't met you yet, you had mentioned Ice Junkies. That's definitely a place that we have met you and see you all about. But for people who haven't gotten to be a part of that yet, can you tell us about yourself?
I'm Zach Humphries. I'm here in central Wisconsin. I'm a kayak angler. I love fishing out of kayaks and, getting to waters that are really hard to get to and a little more untouched than what most boats can get to, and floating the rivers. That's pretty much it.
Well, you are just starting right with exactly one of the things that I was hoping to talk about tonight. You were talking about hitting places that other people can't necessarily get to. And, we are getting through spring fishing. Josh is saying, now we're in summer patterns. So I know we've shifted a little bit, but especially with spring, you are able to get into some of those flooded plains or waters and stuff that our boat will not fit.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about kayaks, is that they're very versatile. They can you could drag them wherever you need to go and get to those lakes that are also, non-motorized lakes and stuff like that too. Just a lot less pressured lakes. And can be a very big advantage, when you just can get to those places that are hard to reach.
Well, that's actually really true. We have a bunch of little tiny lakes up by us that don't have launches, and I would love to get our boat in there, but we cannot.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
They can take you to those kayaks can take you to places that are can be quite amazing. That's for sure.
So we were talking about getting into little skinny water spots and stuff like that. And one of the things that is happening to kayaks these days is lots of different, do I call it drive systems? There's the pedal drives and your regular kayak paddles and all kinds of other mechanical stuff. And I don't know, I feel like new stuff is coming out every day. How do you choose what's right for you?
Well, that's research. Research is a lot. Most retailers will let you demo kayaks. So do some research. You call up places, and a lot of places will let you sit and actually take a kayak out for a spin before you decide to buy one. But yeah, there are so many different options with kayaks these days, from pedal to paddle, and a lot of people are going trolling motor nowadays. Just cruising around lakes like that. It's just almost a big remote control boat. But
what is your preference?
I like pedaling. I like to pedal. I got the Jackson Kusa Flex Drive, and that's a kayak I like to just cruise around lakes. I like it because the prop, if I hit anything, it pops up into the hole, and a little harder to break. I'm a little scared of breaking a Hobie or something like that, with the pedal fin drives and things like that. But the Jackson seemed to take a little bit more of a beating, especially since I do a lot of river floats on the Wisconsin River. If I hit a rock or hit a stump floating, I don't have to worry about my drive or anything, the prop getting messed up. So yeah, Jackson kayaks are the ones I found that worked best for me. But for, any kayak could be, preference and stuff could be different for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
I think actually we might have seen one of those kayaks at an expo. Actually, maybe even Brian Schiller, if you know of him. He does all kinds of kayak stuff. But is that, when you describe it, that it pops up, is that the kayak where there's actually a hole? It seems like a hole in the floor, yeah. And then you put it all the way through?
Yep. Yeah. Well, no, not that kind. It's I don't know. It's hard to explain. Most pedal drives are that, where you take it in and out. This one's built into the kayak, where it's actually just a lever you can pull and drop down, and the whole prop system just folds into the kayak. So it's like if you hit anything, you kind of worry free, which is nice. Because I run into a lot of stuff.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, like transporting something like that, I mean, how do you have like a trailer? Do you just still put that on your car? Like, what does that look like for you?
I do. Well, I drive a Jeep, and these pedal kayaks and fishing kayaks, they're pretty heavy. They could be anywhere from like 90 to 130, 140 pounds. So for me, I'm not able to lift up one of these kayaks up on my vehicle by myself. So I do use a trailer. People with regular trucks, most people just throw them in the back of their trucks. But I usually have one or two kayaks most of the time too. So it's also nice to have a trailer. It's really helped.
Okay, so stupid question. Do they sell like kayak trailers, or you just get like something that's flat and toss it on there?
They do. I actually had a 14-foot Alumacraft, and I sold the boat and kept the trailer and just modified it to fit what I needed, to fit. But they do. They sell kayak trailers, and there's so many different things out there. That's one of the fun things with kayak fishing is you modify. You modify your trailers, your kayaks, all to your liking. That's kind of the fun part about it, is just playing with the toys.
Well, that is actually a really great point, is all the modifications. Like some of the kayaks have like different track systems, and sometimes you just like screw right into the side of the boat. And I guess to be honest, that like freaks me out a little bit as somebody that's new to it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's you make your kayak suitable for how you like it, how you just like it's comfortable for you, and once you get there, it's home.
So, I mean, with the kayak, I mean, I know that they make them like really big, and some of them are like, I don't know, pretty, I want to call them sturdy, but I guess steady is probably more of the word. But even with that, I can't imagine getting all my rods and tackle on there. Like, tell me about your storage solutions for the kayak.
Oh, well, a lot of people, they go with the crate. A lot of our tackle goes in the bait, but I don't know what it is with us kayak anglers. It seems like it's our goal to fit all of our fishing gear in our kayaks. So we find a way, even though we're only going to use one or two baits all day long, we'll fit our whole tackle system, up to 5-6 rods in our kayaks. Most of the time our fishing poles are standing up behind us, and rod holders and all sorts of things like that. I just acquired the Jackson Gnar today, and that's got 6 rod holders. It's got 3 on each side that fit inside the kayak. So I mean, you could fit a lot of storage in those things. Surprisingly, they're great for I like doing those overnight island camping trips up north. Just go fishing, find an island, have a little tent stuffed in the kayak and stuff you need like that. And you can fit a lot of things in there. You'd be surprised.
Well, I am actually a little bit surprised, because I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm not even sure if I could fit all my tackle and rods on there. And you're talking about fitting a whole camp setup on there. Like, that is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, you can get pretty creative.
Okay, so obviously you hope that this never happens, but let's say that like the kayak flips. What do you do when you have all that stuff on there? Do you have to like secure it all down?
Well, a lot of people have it secured. They got little things that, I don't know how to say it, that hold things down most of the time. Knock on wood, I have yet to experience that, but I do say yet, because it pretty much happens mostly. But a lot of these kayaks these days, they're so stable, especially the fishing kayaks, you'll pretty much fall out before they actually flip over. There's a lot of the flip overs I see is you drop something in the water and you reach real quick to go get it, and that's where a lot of people end up going over. But yeah, otherwise they're pretty stable. They are very stable, and depending on the kayak. But yeah, luckily I've never had to experience that yet.
Well, and actually that's a really good point, because I guess like I have not gotten to be a part of like a real kayak. Like, can I even say it like that? But I mean, my experience is all on like kind of like affordable, like vacation rental kind of kayaks and like little lakes and stuff in places where I happen to be when they're like sitting on a shore, like for use or whatever. I mean, that's great, for a recreational opportunity to just like get out there and try for fun. That is perfect. But that is not necessarily what people are using when they're talking about like kayak angling.
Oh, you mean like for just all sorts of styles of fishing and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, there's people that take them out on the Great Lakes all the time, trolling for salmon, and I got some buddies that are in Florida all the time fishing, catching sharks. It's I'm good on that, but catching sharks out of a kayak. But they can go in some pretty serious big water. Yeah, you'd be really surprised. There are a lot of guys that fish with them in the ocean. It's kind of where kayak fishing started. A lot of was fishing in the flats for reds and things like that, and became real popular like that. But yeah, they can. That's one thing I like. They go big water or really little. So very versatile. That's one thing I like. And one of my favorite things about kayak fishing. I mean, I grew up in a bass boat. My grandpa had his Skeeter and all that stuff, or an Alumacraft most of his life. So I grew up in a bass boat, and I don't know. You're a little closer to, you feel a little closer to nature, I guess, or when you're sitting a little closer to the water and just being in a kayak, you just feel like it's got a whole different feeling than being in a boat. That's for sure.
I think I'd be a little bit nervous out on like big water, but I think I would make a better like spring kayak fisherman than anything, because I would insist like, oh, the fish must be up like this cute little creek, and like like I half want to sightsee and half want to fish.
Yeah, yep. That's one of the things, is just enjoying nature. I mean, they're, like I said, they can get you to places that you definitely won't find on the couch.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So the other thing that you were talking to us about, I guess, before the show is, spring fishing for walleyes. And so I'm actually pretty interested in that. First of all, because when you start mixing kayaks and like all the river current, that's pretty crazy. But also catching big walleyes, I mean, that's like kind of hard to keep track of, keep control. So how do you work on boat control in the river?
It takes practice. I mean, you eventually learn to use currents and, the wind. And, wind is like one of our biggest enemies for kayak anglers, is the wind. And, you learn to use that to your advantage more than anything. But, yeah, especially those spring walleyes, I'm fishing below dams a lot, and there's just a lot of different current going on. And it takes a little practice and stuff like that to get used to it. But, they're pretty. Like I said, they're pretty good to fish in. Any kind of weather or current or water, you can take them pretty much anywhere and get done what you need to get done.
But for those people who are beginners, that's probably not the place to start out.
No, definitely not below dams.
So where do you suggest that people go to start out? Like if you're looking for like real fish, but also looking for a safe place to kayak?
For safety wise, I'd probably say, not a real high pressure lake, where you got all the party boaters and the big waves and, big wake and all that. Just find a nice, peaceful little lake that, and just start fishing. It's a learning process. I've been doing it now for 6 years, I believe, or something like that. And I still learn, it's just still learning something new every day. And, and like, it's such a fast growing sport of way of fishing and stuff. Everything is changing. I mean, you got new kayaks coming out every year, and new gear and new gadgets for them, and, new ideas people come up with. And, everything's always changing with this sport of kayak fishing. But it's definitely fun, and it's exciting where it's going right now, with especially tournaments going on. And it's really starting to steamroll into bigger things for sure.
Well, and when we started the show, we asked you, tell us a little bit about yourself. And for those of you that don't know Zach, he's a pretty modest fellow, and he totally forgot to tell us about the Let 'em Run Outdoors Facebook group. So since we're talking about learning and places to find out information about all that stuff, you want to tell us a little bit about the group you started and like how that's been going over the past couple of years, because you've got quite a following over there.
Yeah, I really got the idea started from the Ice Junkies Outdoors. It was like, all right, I've always had a passion for fishing, and it was like, all right, if you got a passion for fishing, you kind of want to follow that course and see what you can do in it. And I started Let 'em Run Outdoors kayak fishing, to really learn. I wanted to learn, and start a group of tips and tricks and kayak modifications and fishing tips and all that stuff, and also so that people can get together and meet up and fish together also. And it's sort of I was surprised to see how many kayak anglers are in Wisconsin even, and how fast it's growing right now. But yeah, that's where I really started it, is just to have a good time and learn, and get a group of anglers together and just go out and fish. Just start a whole community like that. And they're everywhere now. There's so many groups and Facebook stuff and everything going on like that. But it's just, I learned a lot from creating Let 'em Run Outdoors. And there's so many people with different techniques and tricks and ideas. I mean, some of the ideas you see in modifications of kayaks and setting them up to their way is just unbelievable what people come up with.
Do you have like a favorite one that you've seen?
Oh, I wouldn't even know where to begin with that one. There's so many. I mean, you see some people, they got the 2 power poles in the back and the trolling motor with the spot lock on the front, and they can get pretty crazy with their modifications.
Like tactical.
Yeah.
Well, and you bring up a lot of good points about the group, because Emily and I might get on Facebook once in a while, and we do follow that group quite a bit, and it may be in the shadows mostly because we are I can't even say novice kayak anglers because we don't have kayaks, but it is still fun to sit there and learn, because like you said earlier, there's a lot of research involved in picking kayaks, and even if you don't have one but you're interested in, that group is a really good resource, and it's really fun to just watch everybody get together. I know you've had like a couple tournaments run out of there. You like you said, you guys set up little meet and greets where a group of you go out and fish, and
Yep.
it's a really cool mix of almost like ice fishing and open water. And so like you have all this modifications going on and all this gear talk, and then also being able to get together, where like trying to get 20 boats together on, let's say, the Wisconsin River is a really difficult task.
Yeah.
But getting 20 kayaks together may be a little bit more manageable because, it's a smaller size. You guys can actually like bump into each other and like tie off to each other and be able to chit chat and stuff. And so it's a really cool group to be a part of.
Yeah, it is. It's a great community. I mean, they're kayak anglers I've seen are some of the nicest people. I mean, especially I've done, got into a couple tournaments and really enjoy doing that. And they're just if you need something breaks, I mean, someone's there to help you out. And really good people.
I guess you must know more about kayak angling than I do. I was going to say, I didn't realize that they were like kayak only tournaments. That sounds awesome.
There is, like, I started getting into tournaments a couple years ago, and it's like, it's exciting to catch a big fish no matter what. But when you catch a big fish in the middle of a tournament, like that's just a feeling that, is pretty hard to beat right there. But, there's a lot of differences from, obviously, from doing tournaments out of a boat and then there is in a kayak. Because, with our tournaments, everything's catch, picture, release. And that getting that picture of a fish to lay on a board is a little tricky sometimes. So it kind of adds a whole different scenario to tournament fishing. I can't just throw it in a live well or get it weighed. You got to get that thing perfect and, make sure your identifier's where it needs to be and everything's legal and your hand ain't touching a certain part of the fish. I mean, it's a whole different part of tournament fishing when it comes to that. But it's exciting. I mean, it's just something I've really liked getting into is tournaments. Plus, like I said, they're a great group of people. I mean, they're just fun to be around. Just good events.
Well, I'm laughing because I'm like, okay, like a perch, a bluegill, a crappie, like I could totally do that on a pump board. But I'm like, oh my gosh, if you catch like a giant walleye, like
Yeah. Yeah, walleye. I mean, especially when you get those big bass. I mean, I float the Wisconsin River a lot for smallmouth, and what they do not like to cooperate on a bump board. That's for sure. And to get that picture is just it takes some practice. It's something you definitely want to practice before you just jump into a tournament. But that's one of the trickiest parts is getting that picture.
I was gonna say, only the other tricky part is like, I don't know, like being in a kayak and catching a big fish. Like, I don't mean to say something that sounds stupid like that, but like, aren't they dragging you around?
They are like I've fish and blow dams. Sometimes I'll hook into a big sturgeon and they'll pull you around. But that's one of the fun parts when you set the hook, and your kayak starts moving with that hook set. It's fun. It's a fun experience, that's for sure.
I think that would make me nervous.
Yeah, I know it would make you nervous.
Yeah, I'd be like, where am I
That
going?
bowfin would have pulled you all over.
I know, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is crazy. So the other thing, I mean, I guess for people who are interested in like trying this out, I mean, are there places? I mean, I know you said when you're going to buy a kayak, you can like try them out at, some of the facilities that offer that. But like, I mean, are there other places that have kayaks that you can be like trying out?
I don't know any off the top of my head. Like, I picked up my kayaks from Rutabaga Sports down in Madison, and they got a water spot right there, and they do demo days, and you can go out there and just demo kayaks, and try everyone you want to try and see what you like, and see what suits you. And some people just don't like kayak fishing, it's just how it is. But it's not for everybody, but it's definitely worth a try. I mean, everybody should definitely try it once.
That's actually something that I never even considered, but is a really great point, because sometimes you look at an outdoor sport and you're like, oh, that's awesome. That's totally for me. And then you try and you're like, nope. Like,
Yeah.
I would be totally terrible at like a paddleboard, but like, I don't know, a kayak, I think I could do.
Yeah. And, a lot of people, they'll go and buy a kayak that wasn't a good one for them, and then they just don't like it. And, they go back to boats or however they were fishing before. And, that's why it's really good to find one that's good for you. And, definitely research YouTube, everything you do. I mean, I've always been between Hobie and Jackson, and out of the two for my style of fishing, because I river fish a lot, and, I bump the bottom of my kayak, hitting rocks and floating things and all that stuff. That was the best route for me. And, I was going with the Jackson because of my style of fishing. So, I mean, there's different kayaks for, trolling big waters and just everything you need pretty much. But yeah, finding that one for you is key, the one that suits you, because your friend might have a kayak that, perfect for him, but not for you. So definitely research is key to get into kayak angling.
There needs to be like a kayak fishing guide, so you can go out, take the kayak, try it out, see what you think, catch some fish.
Yeah. Well, Let Them Run Outdoors is hopefully, I'm hoping in a week to hopefully launch and start booking orders for guiding. I'm hopefully doing that. I got some new kayaks and hoping to get some people out fishing soon.
That's awesome. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot and like make you share that, but I do think that's like genuinely a really awesome idea. Like, for people to be able to go out, to be able to try some kayaks, however they're set up and fish like that. Because I mean, it's one thing to sit in a kayak, like I think I like this, but then to see how it translates to actually being an angler, I mean, that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to it. And like, transportation, getting those, I mean, they're not light, you get into pedal drives and stuff like that. You can't carry one by yourself pretty much. So there's a lot of different things to it. And, getting out in there and just trying them first before you make that purchase. It's kind of just, finding the boat you like, kind of the same thing. It's like, what boat do I want? Looking into it all first. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity out there for that stuff.
And
it is
so
a whole different experience than being in a boat. That's for sure.
that's, yeah. With your trips, then, are there like specific species? It's multi-species trips. Like, what does that look like?
When I start guiding, it's going to be really kind of up to the customer. You know, I'm a multi-species angler. I love catching any kind of fish. You know, I got lakes that you can go throw a spinner bait in a bay and catch walleye, pike, bass, anything you need right there. Or, you know, for me, I'm mostly walleyes and smallmouth bass. You know, during the spring and summer times, they're just, you know, walleyes are fun, and smallies are just one of the hardest fighting fish you can hook into around here. I don't know what it is about the Wisconsin River, but those smallies in there, you know, they seem a little meaner than they are anywhere else. They fight. It's fun, but yeah, I'd offer anything. You know, pan fishing, shore lunch. I've been thinking, throwing a whole bunch of ideas out there. You know, I'm just kind of getting into it, but it'd be kind of cool just to go out, you know, spend a day fishing, catch some panfish, and have a little shore lunch meal by the shore. And yeah, whatever people are into. You know, I'd offer anything from more experienced kayak anglers like river floats and things like that to just going to a lake and having a good day catching fish and cruising around. You know, I got 3 pedal drive kayaks now, so it's, you know, for people to they could try. I got 2 Jackson Coosa FDs, and FD stands for the flex drive. That's the drive system that's on there. And then I also got the new one that came out this year, the Jackson Gnar, which is a big boat. That thing is I think it was 13 feet 9 inches and 140 pounds. It's a big one. I haven't even got them out yet. I just picked them up today, and I'm excited to get them out. I'm definitely going to be enjoying this weekend on the water. That's for sure.
What colors did you get?
They're kind of camo. They're called like forest. One's a forest and another one's Aurora. So I got 2 kayaks that are forest, but the Aurora is a little like black green, you know, kind of cool looking, and then the other ones are more like a camouflage foresty look.
So the fish don't see you.
Yeah, that's how I like. I like to blend into the surroundings.
That's so funny.
Awesome.
That is really awesome. And so then with the Let 'em Run Outdoors that you have going on, so certainly people can get a hold of you for those trips. Do you have like other events, you had mentioned like meetups? Do you have other things going on this summer?
Not yet. You know, I'm planning on maybe doing a event, just like a meet and greet thing. You know, just that's one thing I started kind of Let 'em Run Outdoors was we did a river float. You know, we'd float the Wisconsin River. A bunch of guys we'd all get together and float the river. But you know, I want to maybe doing just a meet and greet event. You know, everybody just get together, go fishing. You know, cook out some food at somewhere, and you know, just have a day of fishing. That's what I love to do. Get people out and, you know, seeing people catch fish and just have a good time.
You need like a lake with a little island, and then just say, "Hey, the event's at the lake, and the meetup's on the island."
Yeah, we do that. You know, and one of my favorite things to do is float in rivers. You know, especially, you know, with the stretch of river, the Wisconsin River I float, it's really hard for any boats to get through that stretch unless they got little jet motors on them, river motors. And it's just, you know, the scenery you can see floating down the rivers are really not, you know, they're pretty unbelievable. It's and you never know what can happen. Rivers change all the time, and the scenery changes, and that's one of my favorite things to do is float the rivers. But you know, those there for guiding, you know, I'd want a little more experienced anglers who've maybe done kayaking and things like that. But you know, I'd also have a bunch of lakes. I fish Marathon, Lincoln, and Oneida County. I've been fishing them since my childhood with my grandpa, and you know, Marathon County, especially like, you know, big old Plain Reservoir, but Lake Dubay, Mosinee Flowage, you know, these kind of areas I've been fishing. Just they're close, you know, they're close to me here, but a lot of times I like going north, you know, up by Minocqua and Lake Tomahawk, and even the Tomahawk area. That's one of my favorite places to fish. But anywhere in the Wisconsin River, the Wisconsin River produces some beautiful fish. The colors, you know, everything from them are just, and you never know. The Wisconsin River, you never know what you're going to catch. Sometimes you can catch some trophies. That's for sure.
Do you know what I love? I love listening to somebody who loves a river like talk about Talk about loving the river. I can hear the passion in your voice, and that is the thing about it. Like, rivers are so awesome. And I think one of the things about it is, like you're saying, getting close to nature. Like with the river system, you have trees and stuff usually on both sides. Sometimes really close and sometimes not close. But even that, the change there is cool. But
Yeah.
I think with the fish, there's something about the current or something that makes those fish just like extra thick. Maybe they have to swim harder. Like, I don't know what it is, but they are good fighting fish.
Yeah, they are definitely, for sure. Especially those Wisconsin River smallies. You know, you get in that 4 to 5 pound range, and you got to hold on because they're fight. They get pretty acrobatic too. That's for sure. That's just why I like fishing for smallmouth. They're exciting to catch.
So you were talking about floating the river and all of that. So, I mean, I guess the other thing I'm trying to imagine is like fishing style, because sometimes when you're in the boat and you're sitting down and like trying to cast around, like sometimes sitting and casting is hard. So how does that translate to the kayak? What does that look like?
Well, most of the time I stand. You know, when I'm fishing, I'm actually standing in the kayak. But you know, you sit up high enough that, you know, I have sit on top kayaks. You know, so you're actually elevated a little bit more. You know, than you are in a sit inside kayak. So it's really just preference of how you like to fish. There's some people that can sit all day in a kayak and just cast normal and all that, but you know, I like to use power baits more than finesse baits. So I prefer to stand up. You know, like I throw spinner baits, chatter baits, crank baits. You know, those are my favorite ones to use, especially for smallmouth. And yeah, it's just I prefer to stand up. You know, I just feel like I'm a little more control of my cast. But you know, with floating the river, it's hard to also learning boat control. You know, you not quite. It takes a little bit of practice. Once you get it, it's worth it.
So before you go out on the guide trip, do you have like 15 minutes of practicing standing up and sitting down in the kayak?
You could if you need it. You know, I mean, once you get in, I think you feel pretty comfortable. You know, just get around, paddle around. I go over the kayaks with you and whatever you know how to turn and you know the levers and all the features of the kayak with everybody. And you know, definitely safety is going to be number one priority, and then fun after that. You know, life jackets are definitely a must when it comes to kayak fishing, especially on anything with current. You know, you never know what can happen, and you know, yeah, safety is a big one, but you know, you go over all that stuff. That's, you know, like I said, let them run outdoors is also, I want to be very educational. You know, I want to have these kayaks all set up with fish finders. People have never used fish finders before. I'd like to be able to explain that to them, what you're seeing, you know, just have a day of education and, you know, hopefully fun catching fish.
Yeah, and you had mentioned safety, and you actually got me thinking because, I mean, so many people out there are like, yeah, of course I'm safe. Like, yeah, I can handle this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, we get it too. You know, but I think so often kayakers, it's not about, well, it is about being safe yourself, but that's not the big worry for us. You know, it's about maybe like the big boat that's out there that's not paying attention. You know, it's about that other weirdness. The safety is almost about like watching what's going on around you, just because, I mean, no matter how steady these boats are and stuff, you just aren't the biggest one out there.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I've taken my kayak to the pier in the middle of walleye run. That was a pretty interesting situation there. But you know, you definitely have your head on a swivel. You know, you just you're more aware to your surroundings, and you know, safety is definitely paying attention. You know, we got the flags in the back that, you know, so people can see us you know, pretty clearly. And yeah, life jackets are definitely a must. You know, I've been guilty of not wearing life jackets, feeling so getting comfortable, like, oh, I got this. But it is always good when you're kayak fishing. You know, you always want to wear a life jacket. That's for sure. So, you know, safety is definitely number one, because you never know what can happen. Like you said, you know, you could have a big boat go by, cause a wake, and you're not paying attention, and next thing you know, you're going over. So it's just safety first. That's definitely number one, because, you know, unfortunately, you know, like everything, ice fishing, you know, the incidents that happen, most of them can always be prevented. You know, if you just safety first, you know, pay attention.
Safety first, then fish second.
Yeah.
Then fish
Yep.
fry. Or
Yeah.
something. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So I guess, well, actually, this is not what I was going to say, but I do have one other thought. You know, one of the reasons I want to kayak is because at the very end of ice season, you can't quite get out to the ice. I always have this thought that I'm going to pile my stuff in there and like kayak out to the ice.
Yeah. I do a lot of that because a lot of times the boat landings are one of the last places to thaw, it seems like. And it's, a lot of places I go fishing, especially when those walleyes start going in the Wisconsin River. It's being one of the first ones. I've dragged my kayak over ice and then, to get to the spots before. And it's that's one of the advantages. You can get to spots before people can, and places people can't go, and you can use them and let it pretty much any time of the year. The lake's not frozen.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need I need a kayak. We both need kayaks.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do in myself with a kayak? Are there kayaks that have like a sidecar for my dog?
Like I said, I've seen people modify their kayaks where the front hatch of it actually has a dog bed on it, with a little umbrella to keep them out of the sun. And I've seen so many different things.
That's gonna be your kayak.
Yeah. Much.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So I guess we had loved being here tonight to talk about all of this. Fun. For people who are maybe interested in a trip or learning and all of that, can you remind us your Facebook group?
Yeah, but my Facebook group is Let 'em Run Outdoors. You can also find a little bit more of my information on Let 'em Run Outdoors Facebook page. I'm in the process right now of updating everything. I'm creating a website right now. It's all in the works. Like I said, I just got the 2 new kayaks today. I haven't even got them on the water yet. And I still got to get them all rigged up. I'm going to put fish finders on them. Every kayak's going to have sunblock, bug spray in it, everything prepared for what everybody needs pretty much. And hopefully, there's not too many people that guide out of kayaks in Wisconsin area, so offering a different experience, might be a fun way to go, because, it is pretty hard to find kayak guides here in Wisconsin. There are a few, but, hopefully I can, get some people on some fish is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm hoping within a week I can start getting people out fishing.
Awesome.
That's so cool. We will give you longer than a week to get settled up, but we definitely want to touch base with you after that, see how it's going and all of that, because I cannot wait to hear, and hopefully we'll be one of those people out on a trip, but we're moving, so I don't know when it'll be, but we'll get a hold of you.
All right. Sounds good.
But other than that, thank you for being here tonight.
Hey, thank you guys for having me on. It's always awesome getting to talk to you too.
Yeah. And to everybody at home, thank you guys for being here as well, because that is always part of the fun. And if we don't see you out in the water in a kayak, then we hope to see you here next week on the Night Bite.
Night, everybody.